Hey guys, it is Dana here, and we are back for part two of our 4-day series on how to create an out of the box life that both you and your kids love. Now, yesterday, if you happen to watch yesterday's video, we talked a lot about the different styles of parenting, and we talked about old way and new way and how neither way might be working for you right now. So I introduced a new way of parenting called out of the box parenting style. And there were a lot of amazing aha moments and a lot of questions that popped up as well. If you haven't had a chance to watch that video, it is still available. So you might want to pause this, go watch the other one, and then come back, or finish watching this one and then go watch the first video. But it definitely lays the framework and the foundation for where we're going to go today. Now, if you have found yourself oscillating between this old way of consequences and rewards and also dealing, authoritarian parenting, and then going to new way and doing empathy and getting down on their level and using growth mindset and all of this amazing parenting strategies that are based in research. If you find yourself kind of oscillating between the two, let me just tell you, you are 100% in the right place today. Because today, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be building off of yesterday, where we went deep into what out of the box parenting is, what an out of the box lifestyle looks like. And we talked about why it is so important to make that small shift from old, new into out of the box. And so many questions came up. And the questions all started with one word, the word how. So today we're going to be digging into, how do I actually make this shift? I see it on paper, I get the concepts of it, but how do I actually make that shift from the way that I was raised, or the way that society tells me I'm supposed to raise my kids, to what the umpteen million books and conferences are telling me? How do I actually start making this shift? And there's a lot of questions like, how do I live an out of the box life when everyone around me is telling me that I'm causing the problems with my family and my child? Or how do I create an out of the box life when I'm constantly arguing with a spouse who undermines me at every turn? Or how do I do this when it feels like I'm just going uphill and I'm fighting this uphill battle? Or when I'm battling the school and they're telling me that my child is the problem and that maybe my child has something wrong with them, what do I do then? Because then I just end up doubting myself. So we're going to be diving into all of that and more. If you had a question from lesson one, go ahead and put that in the comments. I love seeing where you're from and all the great people who are here. I see Joe Briggs is here. Hello. She says, I don't need a sleep, do I? I love it. I love it. So she's here from we've got people from all over the world. I see many of you guys over in the dashboard as well. So before we dive in today, I want us to just take a grounding moment. And what I want you to do is I just want you to get quiet for a moment. And I want you to think, if you watched yesterday's lesson, I want you to think of, what does living an out of the box life make possible? And if you didn't watch it, that's okay. Just want you to think for a second. What does it make possible for you, for your family, for your dreams? And what is at stake if you don't make this shift? If you stay in oscillation between old way and new way, and you continue to let old way keep creeping back in and doubting yourself? So what is at stake? I want you to just get really quiet for a minute and think about that, because I know that you're going to need something that's going to ground you, hold you steady when I'm not going live every day, when I'm not teaching you every day, when I'm not showing up every single day to hold your hand and hold you accountable. You're going to need something that holds you steady. And so that is what is possible, right? And what is at stake if we don't get a hold of this before it gets too bad. Now, I'll tell you, I know being raised in a family where I had a volatile relationship with my mom, I can tell you that staying in old way causes you to put up barriers and blocks in relationships, and it ends up really undermining your love and care that you actually have for the people that you are using those strategies with. And so when you are using that time and time again, it really breaks down the walls of connection and actually puts up a big wall of disconnect. So I know that that is what is at stake when I'm looking at my own children, my own three super kids, and I'm thinking, okay, I know I don't want that for my kids. I know I want my kids to be able to come to me whenever they're struggling. I want my kids to trust me. I want my kids to be able to speak up for themselves. I want my kids to feel comfortable in their own skin. And those are the things that I see make possible when we are making the shift from old way to new way. So, what I want to do is I actually want to share my screen and I want to take you on a little journey because I want to share with you the journey of moving from old way, new way to an out of the box way of living. And a lot of times people believe that this is just, a click of a fingers or a snap, something that you can do pretty instantaneously, but it's actually a journey. And you go through multiple stages in this journey to creating an out of the box life. And it starts by just simply breathing, being able to survive the storms that you're in, being able to anchor yourself, being able to shift your own mindset, just small, tiny tweaks enough to be able to keep you and your family safe. Then it moves into shift, which is where we're really going to be focusing today, is we're going to be focusing on this first phase, and then we're going to be zooming in to just one step in that first phase. Now, when we're shifting, this is where we're starting to really change our mindset and beliefs and all of the things that we're kind of carrying with us, all that luggage and baggage from our past that we're carrying with us, and then portraying and putting towards our kids and in our own lives now. Then we move into the communicate phase. Now, this is where we're really focusing on how we have difficult conversations, how we interact in the moment of stress and chaos. This is where we're really focusing on what do I do? What do I say? What do I provide? What tools do I provide in the moment when I'm in chaos, when my kids are in chaos, when my kids are fighting, when my spouse is arguing with me, when I'm at a grocery store and the clerk says something mean to me? What do I do in the moment? And that moves us then to the plan stage where we can actually start looking ahead. Now, this is where so many people start. They start by saying, how do I stop the behavior from happening? How do I actually get ahead and make these awful behaviors stop? This is where, when you're in the breathe stage, you might be thinking, I don't really even like my kid right now. I think I might be a failure. And we're going to be talking about that as we dig in today. But one of the things that's happening is you might be trying to start at the plan phase, or even worse, you're trying to jump to the create phase, which is where you're creating routines and rules and boundaries, and you're creating your family values, your family team. And a lot of people jump to this create phase without ever first doing this core piece that we're going to be talking about today. Then we move into advocacy and conquer and thriving and living that out of the box life. Now, when you are in conquer and thrive, this is when so many things are possible. This is when your kids are speaking up and advocating for themselves in a way that other people will listen. It's like Jess, who came to us in the breathe phase, and once she got to the conquer and thrive phase, she is now helping us run this company. And her son, who was having 50 acts of aggression in a week, he went to 3 acts of aggression in 3-month period, and he was found on the playground, kind of telling kids, "Hey, I see we have a problem here. Can we make a plan?" And it's one of my favorite stories because their family is living that out of the box life now with everything going on in the world. She was able to make the choice to say, you know what? We're going to homeschool for a little bit, and then we will look at other options when we have that chance. But it gives her that freedom to be able to work right beside her kids, and her kids to be able to explore the things that they love and love themselves as well. So that's where we want to get you. But I got to tell you, once you know where you want to go, there's something really important you need to know. Is it's really important to know your destination, but you have to only know that next step that's right in front of you, that's so simple it's impossible to fail. So we're going to pretend like this camera is just going to zoom in, and this is the only thing that you can see. So we're going to be zooming in to shift, how to actually shift our thoughts that are holding us back into thoughts that will move us forward when we get stuck. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Let me go up. There we go. Hello. All right. So if you are ready to shift, if you will just write shift in the comments, and we're going to dive into shifting. Now, to do that, I'm going to pull out my handy dandy thought monster cards. And I want to remind you, you just saw the full roadmap, but I'm going to share with you the most important step, because when you get this step down, the ripple effect is going to just domino all the other struggles that are going on in your life. And I see that, yes, I love it. I love it. I see the comments, the shift, a thought saying yes, hello from Saudi Arabia. Awesome. All right. So I want to talk about 3 main thought monsters. That's what we call these thoughts that hold us back. We can have all the knowledge in the world. We can read all the books. And matter of fact, we can even have our own PhDs in child psychology. And these thought monsters can hold us back. Now, we have over 20 of these thought monster swaps, but we're going to dive into the 3 most common ones that we see when people are trying to make that shift from old way, new way to out of the box way. So here we go. We're going to dive into the very first one. Now, the first one is one that we call Judgy McJudgerson. Now, Judgy McJudgerson is all of that thought, all of those words that we hear when we go to Target and our kids are melting down, when we go to the school and the school calls yet again, or, the teacher has a look on their face. Oh, wait till you hear what Bob did or what Bobby did. And then, the words that we hear of our in-laws who say, well, a little pat on the bottom didn't hurt anybody. Look how you turned out. Or maybe even your spouse who says, you're letting them walk all over you. How dare you do that? And Judgy McJudgerson happens with all of these outsiders who are just kind of talking at you with their own stories, their own perceptions, and honestly, your own perception of the way that they're saying things. And so this guy right here can definitely hold you back from being able to remain calm, from being able to help your child in a situation, from being able to deal in the moment with anything else going on around you. Because if you feel judged by others, then you are probably going to, it's going to affect your ability to remain calm, your ability to respond instead of react, and your ability to feel good about yourself and to feel confident in the decisions that you're making. And so what we like to do is we like to call on someone that we call the What What Warrior. Now, the What What Warrior, it just helps you take that thought of, oh my gosh, what will they think? How can I possibly be a good mom? Or they're watching me. What are they going to think about that? Into swapping that to, oh, okay, well, what you think of me doesn't really matter. And that's your story. And I can only control myself. And so taking that little shift can really break down so many walls and barriers for you interacting and parenting the way you want to parent. So that is our first thought monster swap. Now I'm just going to ask you, for the Judgy McJudgerson, how many of you guys have let this guy happen in your own head? Nobody has to be around you for Judgy McJudgerson to say, what are you thinking? Why did you do that? You're the worst parent in the world. You should know better. You should be further along than this. You should be able to remain calm. Why can't you take care of your own kid? You're letting them walk all over you. You're making them fail, right? Those are the things we say to ourselves. We are sometimes the meanest people in our entire environment is what's going on inside our head. So when we can swap those thoughts, like I said, the ripple effect is huge. So if you have any of this, if you can just pull on that want warrior, that'll be awesome. Now that want warrior and Judgy McJudgerson leads me to the next one. Our next one is one that I like to call Negative Nelly. Now, Negative Nelly is when we're focusing on all the things we can't do, the failures, the insecurities, the being incompetent, the not being able to find things, the lazy, the rude, the mean, the bossy. That's the sort of stuff I'm talking about. We're labeling the behavior, the stress, the chaos as a negative. And we do this so much to ourselves. We call ourselves failures. We call ourselves stupid. We call ourselves not good enough. We call ourselves so many names. And if we're calling ourselves those names, how many of us are probably doing that to our kids, right? Can you see how this one thought can hold you back from making forward progress? Just this one thought alone. So the good news is that you can swap that thought. We use something called the Not Yet Yeti. So this focuses on the fact that you don't have it yet, that you're not where you want to be yet, that you don't have a skill yet. Maybe you haven't conquered the thought swaps yet. Maybe you don't have an anchor yet. Maybe you don't know how to remain calm in the moment yet. Maybe you don't know why your child is acting the way they are yet. Maybe you still slide back into old way and you haven't mastered the out of the box way of parenting yet. Totally okay. It's adding the yet to the end of what you are able to do. Adding the yet, right? So, all right, so Negative Nelly and swap that to Not Yet Yeti. Now, the next one that holds so many people back is when we're focused on the negative, when we're focused on all the things that are going wrong and the failure and not being able to do something, we are not able to see the possibility. We're not able to see the small gains that are happening along the way. And a lot of times that leads us to this guy, which is the always and never beast. Now, the always and never beast has you focusing on definite and absolutes. So what this means is you're looking at all or nothing. You're looking at always or never. My kid never listens. I always yell. I always slip back into old way. I never treat my kids the way I should. Or my kids never follow instructions. My kids never do what I ask. When we focus on the never and the always, we're limiting our room for possibility. And so what we want to do instead is we want to call on someone called Fact Finder Freddy. Now, Fact Finder Freddy helps you really look for proof. That is his only job, is to look for proof that it is indeed happening. Maybe only once or twice. Maybe it's happening less than you thought it was happening. A lot of times when people make this simple swap, it allows them to start seeing that the behavior that they thought was wreaking all the havoc on their life was actually happening a lot less than they thought it was, or with less intensity, or less often, right? And so that's what we want to be looking at when we find ourselves falling into the always or never thought monster. So just to review, we've got 3. Now, this is 3 out of like 15 of these, but I wanted to give you something actionable that you can do today. So the first one is the Want Warrior swapped to Judgy McJudgerson. The Always and Never Beast swapped to Fact Finder Freddy. And Negative Nelly swapped to Not Yet Yeti. So what I thought I'd do is I'd actually show you what this looks like in real life. So what you can do is in the comments, go ahead and share with me what is one negative thought that holds you back from making forward progress. Go ahead and just post it in the comments, the thing that's going through your head right now. I saw someone saying, oh my gosh, this is making me sad. Why is it making you sad? Go ahead, post it in the comments. This is the work that a lot of us kind of push off. Honestly, for a long time here at Calm the Chaos, we said, oh yeah, this is extra. Do this extra. But what we found is our students that made the biggest progress and the most forward jumps towards an out of the box life were the ones that made this shift. It is deep work, but you don't have to do it alone. So go ahead and post in the comments. All right. Someone says, if I don't make consequences and threats, then they'll never believe me. I might need a few more details than that. But if I was to swap that one, I would honestly think there's a couple we could use for that one. So I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go to the Gap Bandit of if I don't make consequences and threats, then they're not ever going to follow through. They're not going to believe that I mean it, and they're not going to learn. Instead of focusing on the progress, upside down progress princess, the progress of when you don't use consequences, that maybe immediately it doesn't swap, but that slowly they'll start to trust you. So the swap comes from not that they're going to believe that you mean business, but instead they're going to trust that they have your trust and your ear, and you value them, you connect with them, and you are there to guide them and not just rule them with rules and consequences. All right. So Teresa says, I'm working so hard, but not much is going right. So I'm crying more days than I'd like. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pull out. Progress Princess will work really well there, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to go ahead and do a different one. Okay. So I'm going to pull out this one. Okay, because I know Teresa and I know that she is amazing, right? I actually know that. I know her story. She's one of our students and she's going through what we call a peak and a valley right now. So she's in one of her valleys right now. She's had a lot of life transitions. They just moved into a brand new house. Her son just turned 5 years old and she just restarted the Calm the Chaos program 3.0 and she just went back to work. Lots of life transitions. So right now, she's feeling a little fraudulent. She's feeling like maybe this is her fault. She's feeling like maybe I don't really, I'm not good enough, or I thought I was further along. And how can I possibly be this far behind? How can I possibly still be struggling with things? And here's the thing is that she can. Like, she is doing the amazing work. She is just at a new level. We talk about this a lot. New level, new devil. She is no longer at this place where just putting a couple of tips and tricks in place or putting a couple routines in place are going to work. She's got to do that deep work of focusing on the thoughts and the swaps. And she's going to have to believe it, follow that process. The reality is she is strong. She is enough. I have seen Teresa show up at every single coaching call and saying, okay, what's my next step? All right, I'm going to try this. Okay, I'm going to trust the process. It's much easier to trust the process when it's about your children than it is when it's about you. So Teresa, I'm going to give you some tough love because I love you. You're going to show up just like you did for your kiddos, and you're going to show up that way for yourself because guess what, friend? You are worth it. You deserve it. That's what I'm going to tell you. All right, so... and I see so much in there as well. Yes, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm failing. So a live swap for feel like I'm failing. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that one. That is that negative Nelly, right? I feel like I'm failing. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Instead, I'm not failing. What is happening? And you can even pull a little fact finder Freddy. What is going well for you? What is working for you? So these thought monsters are super, super powerful because when you feel like you're failing, I'm going to tell you, your body's going to act as if you're failing, even if you're not, even if there's those small, tiny pieces of progress. So what I want to do is I want to move into a couple of examples. So I want to share a couple of examples, and that is, I know we were just on a coaching call the other day, and one of our coaching students was telling a story about how her son was calling her names and was being really rude and disrespectful. And she was really having a hard time remaining calm. At first, she tried to comfort him, but he just was really, really, having a hard time. She didn't describe it like that, but as she unraveled what was going on, became very clear that other people were near her. One of her good friends, someone they knew really well, came onto the trail where they were, and she immediately felt like she needed to change how she was helping her son, how she was comforting her son, and she needed to not let him act that way. She let that judgy McJudgerson get in her head instead of turning it into a want warrior. And the minute she realized that, she was like, I can support him. I can comfort him. Absolutely. And then I actually have Teresa right here as one of my examples, because Teresa, as much as she doesn't really feel it and remember it right now, Teresa, when she first started with us, she saw her son as mean and as a bully and as, a bad kid. And it took some thought swaps, some shifts for her to start seeing that he isn't bad, that he isn't awful, that he isn't purposely mean or manipulative, that he is who he is. And he is still learning quite a bit in how to communicate, how to tell when he's frustrated without using hitting, without using screaming, and without melting down. And he's still on that path. They're still learning those things, but she now can see him for who he is. And instead is now the struggle she's having now is more about the thoughts that are getting in her way about herself. And so I just want to share that by opening that up. I mean, I've seen this kid on a video talking about the Doobie-Doo and how overwhelmed he was and how he just called on the Doobie-Doo or how he called on DJ Break It Down and Mr. Inchi so he could go and get just a couple of books. And, he had 2 books to clean up, and he could just do one, and he could do another one, and he could just do a little bit at a time. And this kid was so proud. And I've seen this kid, create plans with his brother and plans with his mom. And he's 4 years old. He just turned 5, actually. And I've seen so much empowerment in her children and also in herself, being able to stand up to Judgy McJudgerson when other people in the house might not actually be on the same page as her. And so I just wanted to share that small shift had such big ripple effects. And then finally, I want to share an example of Always and Never Beast. So we have a student, we love her in our community, who we call her Jayberg. Now, Jayberg, I can remember the call very clearly. Jayberg was coming onto the call and she was like, no, he always melts down. He's always mean. He always throws things. It just comes out of nowhere. And he just always jumps straight to the hitting. He jumps straight to the destruction. He jumps straight to this. And once we were able to dig in and help her swap that, once she started seeing that it was just, happening less intense, it was happening less often, she started focusing on that little teeny tiny progress. And now Jayberg, when she does show up, she's like wearing wigs and she is, happy, and she is living an amazing out of the box life. And she says her kiddo is thriving right now. All started with that shift. If you don't do that one shift, that one starter point, then the rest of it is so much harder to do. It all starts with that one first baby step. So What I want you to do today is I want you to take that baby step, that shift baby step. And I want you to think, what is a thought that is holding you back? A thought that just keeps popping up that holds you back when you try to connect with your kids, when you try to have huddles with your kids, when you try to empower them with their own words, with their own thoughts and understanding of their own body. What are some things that hold you back when you try to anchor and remain calm? Those are the thoughts I want you to be focusing on. And I want you to challenge yourself to make a swap with that one thought into something that is going to help you move forward. You can borrow any of the thought examples that I gave you today. And then what I want you to do is I actually want you to post that in the group, and I want you to take a few moments to get quiet and think, what is at stake if I continue to believe these thoughts that are holding me back? What is at stake if I continue to oscillate between old way and new way and old way and new way and never step in to an out of the box life? And what is possible when you do take that step, when you do take that leap of faith into the out of the box thinking, out of the box parenting, and out of the box shifting? What does it make possible? So, in the next lesson tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, all right, Dana. So I get out of the box life, out of the box parenting. I get what that's about. And now I get the first step. I know how to shift my thinking. I know how to recognize when a thought monster is happening and that I need to shift that thought monster so that I can keep moving forward. But Dana, what do I do? What do I do? What is the plan? What do I do when I'm in the store and my kid's just broken something? What do I do when I just lost my ever loving cool on my kids because they just won't stop fighting? What do I do when my kids just will not get off of electronics? What do I do when my spouse is undermining me right in front of me? What do I do when the school keeps calling? What do I do when my kids won't eat a meal no matter what I cook for them? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? If you have ever wondered, what do I do? That is what we're going to be covering tomorrow. I'm actually going to be sharing our 4-part process, our Calm the Chaos framework. I'm going to be sharing that at a high level, and then I'm going to zoom in to what it looks like to apply this framework and create a plan for what to do, how to deal with all these different chaotic struggles that you are dealing with right now as you raise your out-of-the-box kiddo. So if that is for you, be sure to let me know. I'm in, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow for what to do when you need to handle any chaotic situation and the 4-step process that you're going to use and adapt for those difficult situations. And as I want to remind you, we do have, at the end of the series, we are going to be opening up our brand new membership where we are going to be helping you shift your thinking and help you create plans for what to do when things are chaotic. So, cannot wait to see you in tomorrow's lesson. I'll see you then. Bye, guys.